poem that I chose to do for my project has always been a favorite of mine since I first heard it back in high school in English class, and it is entitled To a Mouse by Robert Burns. In it, he's telling a story of how he came upon a nest of a mouse when plowing his field, and the mice were running off scared because he had just destroyed their home, and they were worried that he was trying to kill them. And so he begins by speaking to the mice and trying to calm them down, in vain, of course, because they don't understand what he's saying, but he begins by comparing himself to the mice and how he's sorry that man has become so advanced and destroyed all of their natural habitats, and that they had worked so hard to build their little house, but here he comes out of nowhere and destroyed all of their plans that they had made and all the work that they had put in. So he's commenting on their own mortality and his comparing himself to the mice. And says a famous line that the John Steinbeck book was based after, the best laid schemes of mice and men go often astray, is like the English interpretation of it, or modern day English. And it's really about how no matter how we try and what we can do, what we do, we can't really affect the future. We can't touch it. It's not ever present to us. And he really emphasizes the despair that it causes him as he moves into a contrasting point of view to, instead of comparing himself straight to the mouse, he speaks of their differences and how the little mice are so worried for their own safety and lives that they just run away without thinking, and they can't understand or communicate with him. But he says that although they only think of the present, he still worries of the future and thinks of the past, and is just caught in his own despair and goes further into his own mind and just thinking about how difficult it is to ever prepare for anything. So, but the way that the poem is set up is in, I believe, 8 stanzas of it switches back and forth between a iambic tetrameter and iambic dimeter, in which it sort of gives a little bit of the story and then a reflection of his own thoughts, and it puts a lot of emphasis on the rhyming pattern, gives it more rhythm, makes it flow freely, and then he can also emphasize through the stressing of syllables his own exclamations, and just gives it his own sort of active voice in what he's trying to say. This poem really means a lot to me because it just always makes me think of back when I first heard it in 12th grade English class, how I was just thinking a lot about the future in life, reading a lot of philosophy, sort of mainly on like the depressing sort of existential sort of things. It just reminds me how difficult it is to ever really communicate with your fate. You don't have any, or just how weak the will can be in actually touching reality and making things go the way that you want them to. To a Mouse by Robert Burns. Wee sleekit curin timorous beastie, oh what a panic's in thy breastie. Thou need not start away so hasty, wi' bickering brattle. I would be laith to rin and chase thee, with murdering pattle. I'm truly sorry man's dominion has broken nature's social union, and justifies that ill opinion which makes thee startle at me, thy poor earth-born companion and fellow mortal. I doubt not whiles, but thou may thieve. What then, poor beastie, thou maun live? A dame nicker in a thrave's a sma request. I'll get a blessin' with the lave, and never missed. Thy wee bit housie too in ruin, its silly was the winds are strewin', and naething now to big a newin', o' foggage green, and bleak December's winds ensuin', bathed snell and keen. Thou saw the fields laid bare and waste, and weary winter coming fast, and cozy here beneath the blast, thou thought to dwell, till crash the cruel coulter past, out through thy cell. That wee bit heap o' leaves and stibble has cost thee money a weary nibble. Now thou's turned out for a' thy trouble, but house or hald, to thole the winter's sleety dribble, and Cranrach called. But mousie thou art no thy lane, and proving foresight may be vain. The best laid schemes of mice and men gang after glee, and leest naught but grief and pain for promised joy. Still thou art blessed compared with me, the present only toucheth thee, but I backward cast my ee on prospects dear, and forward though I cannot see, I guess and fear. The end.